Network or its sponsors.
What is around that time right here on KAZ Radio, where we got those three crazy guys, none other than Duran, Mike, and is he the star of the show?
No.
Donald. Okay. All right. Okay. Take it away, guys.
All right, everybody. Welcome to
We've Got Issues.
Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Remember, you can call in at 216-298-1554. You can listen to us also, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, KAZ Radio, Twitter, Periscope, Apple TV,
and Roku TV.
Before we get the show started, let's get the show started like we normally do in prayer. All right. Heavenly Father, we ask that you continue to complete the work that you've begun in each of us. Let us see as you see and do as you say. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's get it started over here with Duran. Duran, we've got a lot of issues to get to. It's been a very, very
busy week.
Busy week for all of us. Duran, how was your week and what's your issue for this week?
My week was good. You know, I got up, I could do the rest.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the first issue I had was with these bombs they were sending everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the candidate presidents
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's something that's new to me in my lifetime.
Yeah, we're going to cover that and more in depth. What was your issue with the Mega Millions? You were talking about that.
The Mega Millions, yeah, that's right. I'm glad you brought that back up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was at the job and one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, come on, you got to put in on this Mega Million here. You know, it's almost $1 billion now."
Uh-huh.
What's the difference if it's $1 million or $1 billion?
999 million.
You could get struck by lightning 50 times before you hit the Mega Million.
And still have a 1 in 4 million chance to win.
Right, and I still have a 1 in 4, right?
Right. So,
and I'm just saying, that mentality. It's kind of funny, but it's a big craze now. It's almost $1 billion. So let's see if it's any different from the million that I graduated from.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's harder to win. I mean, you were telling me earlier offline that they had. It was in Simpsonville, South Carolina, is where that ticket
that's a
was.
one-horse town.
Yeah, that's a one-horse town. They have 2 lights and one of them don't work. So, but yeah, the odds were crazy though, weren't they? Did you play?
No.
Mike, did you play?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Got to be in it to win it.
Got to be in it to win it.
And I know someone who hit the lotto here in Ohio, so
yeah, you really have credence.
yeah. So.
But the odds, I'm sure at that time, the people that you know that won, it was one. This particular thing was 1 in 304 million to 1.
Yeah, I'm one of them because I was in it.
You were in it. Okay. All right, Mike, what's your issue for this week?
Well, I got several. You know, I definitely wanted to touch on the bombs scares that are trying to distract us from voting. But that's my other issue is voting. We got to get out to vote.
We have to get out to vote.
I mean, it's time, y'all.
Get out and vote.
It's time, y'all. We got to vote.
Yeah, get out and vote.
They've already started in a lot of states. Ours is coming up on November 6th.
2 days before my birthday.
Yeah, so and open voting or early voting is already open.
Right, and that's what
so
this says. Get out and early vote, people. Get out and early vote.
Yeah, so we definitely got to get out and get to know the issues, and we can spend a little time on the issues today here locally in Cleveland.
Absolutely. My issue this week is a couple quick ones, really. Mine was is I'm really happy, getting back to the voting thing, for the first time in United States history, really, that I can remember, we have 2 governors, 2 people running for governor. You have a female governor that's running for governor in Florida, and of course a brother running for governor in, a brother running for governor in Florida and a female running for governor in Georgia. I think that that's a really big deal. It's not getting enough national attention in the national press. Of course, bad news. it travels faster than good news. So people in those states, particularly, we got a lot of friends in Georgia and Atlanta, all over Georgia. Got a lot of friends in Florida. I lived in Florida for many, many years and retiring there shortly.
And Texas, I think, has a Hispanic running.
So
Better
get out of
O'Rourke.
support. So I'm really big on the voting thing. It took so long for us to get the opportunity to vote that I sort of have issues with people who don't.
And you know, the other thing about voting too, you know, a lot of people say their vote doesn't count or it doesn't matter. Here's the thing: you have more young people that are running for office now. You have people from minority groups that are running, and you also have other. You know, the LGBTQ community is running for offices now. So you got a lot of up and coming stars that you know can possibly right this ship. You know, right the direction of this ship.
We got to vote them in the office. We got to put them in.
We got to put them in.
My other little minor issue before we move forward was impulse buying. Americans buy a lot of stuff online and just buy stuff very impulsively. And I know the real guilty. If you go into any store, right when you get it to checkout, there's stuff that you impulse buy right there. You know, if you really think about it, I've probably spent $1,000 at the front of a cash register buying impulse stuff that I really don't need. In terms of that, you guys ever bought anything impulsively like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't even on my
What even on your mind?
and if you think about it, grocery stores are set up that way. You know, you have your when you walk in, you walk straight down, and you got your fruits and vegetables. You know, you walk on the outside of it is all your live food, and then you know you go up the roads, you got your processed, your canned goods, and then at the registers you got those candies and knickknacks.
All that stuff that you're like, man,
Things you ain't even come to, you weren't even coming for the
I need a 5-pack
store.
of lighters right now, and I need some other. It's crazy how the stuff that they have there. So got to watch out for that impulse buying. That's another issue I had.
And then my last one was. You know, there have been a number of reports where people who were asked to perform in the Super Bowl are turning them down because of the NFL stance against Kaepernick.
Tell us a little bit more. Who's performing?
I know Jay-Z and Beyonce turned them down. I know Rihanna has turned them down. Cardi B is another one that has turned them down, but I think she may be reconsidering. And there were several others that have turned them down. So.
And what were the reasons that they turned them down for?
It was basically their white ball of Colin Kaepernick.
Did you say white ball?
I did.
Isn't it usually black ball?
Well, you know, it is the NFL.
That's funny, man. That is hilarious. I think that's an interesting issue because when for every artist that performs on the Super Bowl, no matter where they play after, they're not going to have that many people watching them. That's a billion people watch the Super Bowl, some kind of crazy number like that.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of exposure. So to turn it down is a monumental thing, and it speaks to their support of the cause. And
you know, my big thing is that they keep trying to change the narrative from his protest against injustice to he's protesting the flag. It has never, ever been about the flag.
Never.
You know, and it's time for them to, you know, take a good hard look at that and have some conversations around it. That's all he was really asking.
Yeah.
Let's have some conversations. It's obviously happening. There are people, you know, that are being killed in the hands of some officers, and it needs to be addressed. You know, it's a lot of great police officers out there,
Right.
but there are some bad apples. There's some bad apples.
Pointing that
We're not
out.
talking about the good ones,
But
right?
I think the reason for that is it's the way it's done. I don't think it's nothing about they're trying to change the narrative. Yeah, in some aspects it is, but I think it's the way it's done. I think they're using the NFL as a platform for it's something that you can say that's political, which I don't see nothing wrong with it if you had the people to do anything about it, but you're on the wrong platform making those demonstrations to me. That's the way I feel about it because, you know, you out there paying money to see football or whatever. You can't just bring your own political
Why not?
debate into the arena.
Why not?
Because that ain't what you're getting paid to do.
Then why do we have Wear Pink Month
For Susan,
for breast
my
cancer?
choice.
No. The NFL, first of all, they pay to promote the flag and the national anthem. They pay money for that. They also promote different months. You know, breast cancer month and all these other months. The players wear pink. pink shoes, pink wristbands, pink tape. So yeah, it's not. You have to wear that stuff. That's what they're doing.
I wasn't aware that you
Yeah.
have to wear it.
I mean, you see the majority of the players wearing it.
Yeah.
That's not by chance.
Right.
So it is okay for certain issues to be brought up, but when someone is speaking out against injustice, something why wouldn't that be okay?
Well, it's okay. I
your
get it. There are injustices, and it's really bad. I mean, the stuff that's happening. You could just look around you close and see all of this happening. But my take on it is just that that's the wrong place to do it.
Okay. I agree with both of you guys actually, because let's keep it real, man. This police brutality has been going on way before Capitol.
Oh yeah,
Right.
You know what I mean, way before that. Talking about Jim Brown back.
yeah.
You go all the way back, dude. You go all the way back. So.
And I was a little naive about that brutality. I'm thinking, well, I'm not worried about police. I'm worried about these little thugs out here. But then I thought about it. I'm like, what if I'm way out in the boonies or something, and I'm by myself, and
Right, exactly.
I don't know how a person's thinking that don't like my, my credence. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's keep moving. Those are great issues. We can probably come back to those a little bit more too. Let's go a little bit forward. Let's talk about what you guys both were talking about initially when we opened up the show, was this manhunt for this serial bomber who actually was 10 bombs, and that, of course, pipe bombs that exploded. Everybody's heard this story unless you're living under a rock. The Obamas, Biden, Robert De Niro, Maxine Waters, Brennan, who's a big supporter, is a billionaire Democratic supporter, and also Eric Holder down in Sunrise, Florida. These are all Democratic people who were targeted, and of course they haven't found anybody yet, of course. But so let's get into that a little bit more. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's 10 pipe bombs going to Democrats and also to the office of CNN in New York as well.
Well, number one, thank God none of them exploded.
No doubt.
Right. I really believe that this is a distraction.
So do I. Why do you explain that a little bit more for us?
Well, what's about to happen? Voting.
Midterm
elections, which is very important. So for our president to get his agenda passed, he's going to have the Senate and the House on his side.
Right.
And if we vote some of those guys out and take control of the Senate and the House, then he's going to have a harder time passing his agenda.
I agree with
his destruction of everything that President Obama had done. So I think this is a distraction to get our minds off of early voting, to get our minds off of voting, period. And we have to be focused and continue to go early to vote, continue to send in the absentee ballots, and we have to continue to show up at the polls on November 6th or whatever date your midterms are. And if you're not happy with the people that are in office, this is the way to vote them out.
To do something about it, yeah. And I was, it's funny you saying how this is like a little ploy or whatever to get their mind off, because on the other side, I heard that it was like a ploy for the Democrats to say there's a bug in the air and blame the Republicans,
right.
For doing it. You hear from both sides.
Yeah, he said, she said.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting.
But it's weird though. I mean, you don't hear things like this.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We got 6 U.S. presidents. Can we turn that back on? That fan? We got 6 U.S. presidents still that are alive right now. Okay. So if you're Trump, you guys are president, would you reach out knowing that Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton, they're in place up in New York there, and of course Obama's there in D.C. As a current president, would you reach out and make a phone call to them and say, hey, is everything all right? Is that something that Trump should have done?
Yes. For American people.
Just to show some unity, they are president. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that he would reach out to all of them.
Right.
And I think, if I'm correct, the bomb that President Obama received was during his time in office. Okay. It wasn't like yesterday or the last few weeks.
Really?
No, this happened when he was in office.
Okay, they showed the thing on CNN in terms of where it might have happened when he was in office.
And I think Eric Holder's may have happened then too.
Okay.
Because the reports that I read was that De Niro, Maxine and Biden were the recent ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were sent at different times, the bombs. Like,
Well, they're saying 8 pipe bombs, and I'm watching CNN. And they put up a picture of the state of New York and D.C. and they showed all of them as if it happened all the time. And it was 10 pipe bombs. Let me ask you this, guys. What do you think? And I want to explore this distraction thing a little bit more, Mike. When you say that, because about the elections, it's very important midterm elections. Do you think that what kind of extreme does that say, Duran and Mike, to basically these are assassination attempts? There's no other way to say it. If they would have went off, they would have killed those people.
Oh, yeah.
These are assassination attempts. So you're going to go that far for elections, Mike?
Well,
Duran, what are your thoughts
I mean, I don't know who did it, so I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if that was Republican driven. I don't know if that was their.
All Democrats?
Well,
I'm assuming. I'm just saying. I'm assuming.
but I don't know if it was a person in office that did that ordered it or that hired someone or anything. I don't want to say that was the case. I would rather say that probably someone in their in their wheelhouse. They got a lot of crazies coming out now that feel like they can say and do anything.
Right.
And I think that it doesn't help when we have a leader that is so divisive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's probably the most divisive president that I've ever seen. I remember the days when the presidents, when they got in office, they had the nasty, sleazy elections and they said things during the debates and everything.
Mudslinging everywhere.
But then once they got elected, they reached across the aisle and worked with each other. And that's not happening today.
What's your take?
That's the
an
part,
excellent point, Mike.
but that's the part we want to see happening, and that's the divisiveness that's going around now is making it really tough. But even you work for common cause of the good of the American people. You don't, just be divisive to the point where it throws the whole country into disarray.
Yeah.
You're right, Mike.
And it speaks to that distraction, doesn't it, Duran?
It does.
Because here's the thing I was going to say. Also, in addition to you guys talking about this divisiveness aspect of it, former Governor Kasich, who's probably going to be a presidential candidate in 2020, our former Ohio governor, he said today that Trump had the opportunity with this assassination attempts, is what I'm just basically calling them. That's what the news media is calling them. That he had an opportunity to be a unifier. He said yesterday in one of his rallies, let's all just get along, we can do this for the good of America. And I'm wondering, do you think that that he means that kind of stuff? Based on what we see, do you think that Trump wants to change and bring us together, or was
Absolutely not.
Was that just BS?
I don't think he has. I don't think he's interested in bringing us together. He's interested in one thing, and that's the almighty green. And if it's not filling his pockets, he's not interested.
I agree. I think it's
and I don't care what. And I don't care what color you are.
Yeah.
If it's not benefiting him in his pockets,
right,
Or his base.
then
That's what it is,
then it doesn't really matter.
I'll tell you my take on it is I think it's for the benefit him in the pockets, and I think he's really learning politics on the fly here because, I don't think he's, and this time is coming up. We got election times coming up, so you think he's gonna say whatever it takes. He's
And I heard
his propaganda to.
And I heard another media guy said the same thing. It was a guy who is a Trump supporter who said that we need to be patient with Trump because he's learning how to be a president. Well, it's a little late to learn the job now.
Man.
It's a little late.
Man.
You're in the office. You got to be there.
Probation? You got 90 days on any job you go to. You got 90 days to learn the job.
And how long do we have to wait? We're already, 2 years in?
Yeah.
Come on.
Believe me, these guys know politics like it's in the dark more than me. I wouldn't, but I just know no way he could, know all the things it takes to be a great. The way he came in.
Oh, he doesn't. That's no doubt there. But I'm saying that when you are in the office, I mean, you don't have time to work to start learning about how to defend this country.
Yeah.
You don't have time to start learning how to treat its citizens. That should be something that you already know
That's
day
an
one.
innate thing. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we combat this grip of divisiveness? How do we combat that? I mean, for example, when I'm talking about confirmation bias, and what that means is, listen, when did we stop? When did we, or what happened when we started to disrespect people's beliefs? We can agree to disagree on this show. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
But right now, with this confirmation bias, I can say, look, this is blue, right? I say this color is blue. And in saying that this color, you can say, look, man, that's not the right shade of blue. That's not the real blue.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's still blue. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even in the face of irrefutable evidence to the truth, they still go deeper and say, no, I'm holding on to that position. And that's what's really happening to me. No matter, we see that it's wrong, but it's going to continue to stay wrong no matter what we say or do based on that confirmation bias. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I mean, divisiveness starts in little simple areas, like even in your home, and then it goes out on the mainstream, out in the public, and then you see black, the other person see dark, and it's everything but what you said. It says tear everything out in your head, which you know,
Right.
And it's not right. This is the way it's done,
That's it. Yeah.
and
I mean, what happened to healthy debate? You know what I mean? What happened
compromise is lost.
to- Yeah, you can't
We don't
learn
compromise
anything looking
anymore.
at just your side of it, right?
Right.
You can't. There's-
Yeah, I don't have a problem with healthy debate. I just think that, this president is something else.
I mean, I don't understand that people are not able to even hear the other side of an argument. If you have if I disagree with you and you disagree with me, I mean, you watch these presidential debates. You can disagree with Trump and there's Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
Okay? Bottom line, they have the debate. You can form your own opinion, but you can have the opportunity to disagree or agree, and then formulate your opinion from there. It's really like our opinions, you can state them, but they really don't matter. Nothing changes. What do you guys think? Is it frustrating to you in that regard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, the rules of debating have gone out the window.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think it paints a bad picture for aspiring politicians.
Mm-hmm.
The kids that are in school that are in the debate clubs, and they're seeing how these debates go,
Mm-hmm.
where you're just slinging mud, and you don't even have facts now. You have alternate facts.
That's the main thing.
So,
We don't have
alternate-
facts.
What is an alternate
What's-
fact?
what's-
Right.
well,
Come on.
Alternative facts is still facts.
Right.
I mean, facts are fact. We were talking about that a little bit offline too, and I was just wondering. I was thinking about a quote that I heard from Donald Trump this week, and he said, "See, I'm behaving." Doesn't that sound like a 6-year-old comment? See, I'm behaving. I'm doing okay.
Well,
That doesn't make any sense to me.
one of my favorite, and I think is yours too, late night host Trevor Noah has a book with all the famous quotes
Oh,
of
yes,
our
yeah,
president.
we had that, yeah.
All the juvenile quotes of our presidents
I've
and
heard of
tweets,
those,
and I mean, we don't have time on the air to go through
go into that. We
all
really
of
And
that.
some of the things I wouldn't even want to re-mention on the air. Yeah.
Another thing that was in the news, and I don't know if you all heard about this, were the thousands of people that are marching or migrating towards the U.S.
Oh yes, from the U.S. border. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so today I heard that our president is sending
He's sending troops.
800, 8,000, some
Troops?
number of troops to guard the border.
8,000.
man.
To help with
The Mexican border, the Mexican border patrol. He's sending American troops over also. But for what, I don't know. But I guess it's a threat of them coming over. The Mexicans coming, but he don't have any basis for doing it.
Listen,
I mean, I
man,
don't.
Listen, doesn't make any sense. We're going to build a wall. They're going to tunnel under it. Man, come on now. Let's keep it real.
Right.
I think that it's so much going on in that regard. Okay. Oh, we have a caller calling in. So we've got issues. Let us know when you're ready.
Hello, caller.
We don't have time on
All right, caller, go ahead.
and some of the things I wouldn't even want to re-mention on the air.
Welcome to We've Got Issues.
I don't know if you all heard about
Hello, yes, this is Andrea Balls. I'm calling in.
Hey, that's Andrea. She's contributing to the show. Hello, welcome
Yeah,
to We've
I'm
Got
calling
Issues.
in. I love a good debate, and I love how you guys are putting it on the floor. I mean, it's nothing like a good debate, but when it's one-sided, it's not good. It's not good.
Right.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
You're right, BB.
Yeah, exactly. We think that, we can agree to disagree, but we both want to be heard.
You're right. Right.
Yeah, there is a need to be heard. So if we in the land of the free now, we just need to be heard.
Right.
So I want you to hear this. All of United States of America, black, white, Hispanic, everybody, please get out and vote. The only way we can make a change is to get out and vote.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, right.
And that's part of the show.
it.
We appreciate. That's a great comment, sister. That's a great comment.
Right.
Thanks for calling in, BB.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
BB.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a
absolutely.
good one.
Thank you. Yeah, she's right. Though you got to get out and
Yeah,
vote.
you got to.
I mean, let's keep it real, guys. We had the opportunity in this country. The Voting Rights Act was 1964, so it's only been 52 years since our vote counted as one vote. So how could you dare not vote?
Yeah,
After all we went through.
54. Your math's a little off, but you know.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm an idiot. Let me tell you. I was looking also. I was thinking when they were talking about this in terms. You mentioned distraction. We mentioned the divisiveness, but there's also a part of it that takes over a little bit further, and it's really an anxiety thing. You know what I mean? It gives us the opportunity. You don't feel hurt. You don't feel like change can happen. We feel like no matter what we do, we're still going to be subject to this because we have no control over it. I mean, no matter how much control you think you do have, they still going to take your money every time you get paid right off the bat. You're still going. There's still something we have no control over. And in terms of that, people are getting more anxious about it. What's your take on that? What do you guys think of that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think that there has to be some control put in place. But I think that this is governed by the people, you know. So are we really in a position to govern? Or is it the people that we put in these offices that have their own agenda? You know, are they really governing according to their constituents? Or are they governing according to the people that are putting money in their pockets?
I'm gonna say
And I
the
think
latter.
that's the issue.
Look at the
We have to
pharmaceutical
get rid of
companies.
those guys,
They
you
have
know.
to. Yeah, I mean, to me, you're right.
Yeah, we have to be able to trust the ones that we put in office are
And
going
make
to
them
do the
accountable.
right thing for their constituents. And their constituents are us. It's not the big businesses, the big corporations, the gun lobbyists, the pharmaceutical companies. It's not them. They're not your constituents. So they need to if they aren't willing to do right by their constituents, they need to be voted out. And that's what I plan on doing November 6th. I'm going to go cast my vote. You know, whether it works or not, I'm voting. That's the main thing I'm going to do is vote.
And that's what this show is really about. When you talked about divisiveness, Mike, I did a quick listen, divisiveness and distractions. So just to go over this real quickly, here's some of the stuff that Trump has done. We can only wonder and speculate what has been happening while we were looking at this in the news. So let's just go to the national anthem. We talked about that. Wonder what was going on with what they were doing behind the scenes as they put all the focus on the national anthem and not police brutality. Wonder what was going on there. But they created that distraction. What about LeBron James? Shut up and dribble. Remember? Put all the focus on that. Well, what was going on the other side? Every time they throw something out in the forefront, it's like watch this hand while the other hand. It's like a 3-card Molly type stuff. You know. So what about the Russians? Same thing. What about the Me Too movement? All the stuff that's going on is distractions that are created while they're doing something else. Is there some kind of is that your thought process?
Oh, I definitely think that's how he gets a lot of the things that he wants accomplished done. You know, in the middle of the night, when everybody is focused on the pipe bombs that have been sent through the mail, when everyone's focused on the Kaepernick controversy, whether it's for justice or whether it's against the flag.
Right.
They always throw this stuff at us, and while we're focused on those items, those issues, you know, they pass a bill that we don't even know about.
Last 3 months, national anthem, LeBron James, the Russians, the Me Too movement, African Americans in general, Democrats and fake news, China, on and on and on and on. It's so many different issues that get pushed to the forefront, while the real issues and the major issues are getting pushed through behind closed doors. Does that make sense?
And
makes sense.
that's their MO. They throw distractions out so that we won't be focused on the job at hand. And
But
I'm going to say it again. Let's vote, y'all.
vote.
Let's get out and vote.
All right, I got one more thing I want to go over with this. Duran and Mike, this is one of the guys who got a pipe bomb delivered to his house, obviously, of course. It's another assassination attempt. He's the former CIA director, John Brennan, and this is an exact quote that he said today. He said, because Trump tweeted out something about fake news, anger, some crap. He said, "Look in the mirror, Donald Trump. Your inflammatory rhetoric, insults, lies, and encouragement of physical violence are disgraceful. Clean up your act. Try to act presidential. The American people deserve much better. By the way, your critics will not be intimidated into silence."
Right.
What do you guys think of that quote from a former CIA director?
Excellent. He hit it. He hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly what we cannot be silenced.
Look in
We
the
have
mirror.
to stay focused.
Yeah.
We have to want more from our president, and we have to put pressure on him to step up to the plate and to grow in that position. And if he's not willing to do that, then he should pay dearly at the polls.
Right.
Do you think, Duran, that we are numb to some of the craziness at this point? Because every day it was something different. We're numb. Do you think that we're not surprised by some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth anymore?
Think about it now. Look at all the stuff going on now. I think, to a certain, you have a point there, because I think there's so much going on like that we are kind of numb to it. It's like, hey, is you
You're
used
not
to it?
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if numb is the right word for me. I think it's more of me not caring to hear what he has to say.
Right.
That
I'm
too.
not paying attention to the tweets. I'm not paying
Neither am
attention
I.
to the negative comments that he makes on a daily basis.
Right.
I'm more issued in what's he doing. What is he doing behind the scenes? He's trying to overturn Obamacare. He's trying, and let's call it what it is. It's not Obamacare.
It's health care.
It's health care.
It's health care.
Come on.
Education and health care should be free in this country, period. I've already said it 1,000 times.
Right.
Right,
And you
right.
told me something the other day about our deficit and how the majority of our deficit is going to the military.
Yeah.
Hey, God bless America for having a great military. But let's face it, our military is larger than several countries put together. So how much bigger do we need to get to defend our land?
Speaking of that, we have a $4.4 trillion deficit. Just so you people know, that's 1,000 billion. We got $4 trillion deficit, and I'm wondering to myself, we're the richest country. Who are we buying all this stuff from? I don't understand that either, but that's a lot of money. And out of that $4.4 trillion that is our deficit, 75% of it goes to the military in some form or fashion, whether it's Homeland Security, police, military, building, whatever it may be. That's too much money going to defense.
Right.
We have enough nuclear weapons right now to destroy the world 24 times. How many times did it take to destroy the world? Once.
Right.
Once. Come on, man. Come on. So you're right about that. I think that that we still got a long way to go with it.
I think you look at where that deficit started and see, is it escalating, or
It's escalating.
is
It's
it?
escalating. It's escalating,
Where did
yeah.
it start? And
They doubled military spending in 9/11 with the war on terror. It's always a war on something that we don't win.
With
war on
the
drugs, war
I'm
on
sorry,
terror.
with the fake war on
With
terror.
the fake war on terror.
Right.
Yeah, listen, this is a great point. 18 years in Afghanistan and counting. When you go over to a country, I spent a
And
lot of
they've
years
yet
ago-
to find a weapon of mass
Right.
destruction.
You go to a country, you destroy the country. That's what war is all about, pillage and all that.
I mean, I'm all for looking for weapons of mass destruction, but 18 years?
18.
I mean, at some time you got to quit.
at some point, you're like,
It's a family thing. I mean, that's hard to believe in that regard. But like I said, I always want to get out and vote. You want to talk a little bit about issue 1?
Yeah, tell us what
Let's
that
talk a
issue
little
is.
bit about issue 1. We think that it's the most important issue really particularly for us in the African American community. Issue one, number one, would lessen drug crime penalties for minor, I don't want to say minor infractions, but for things such as possession or driving under suspension, things of this nature. And it really says that right now it's sort of running neck and neck. It's running neck and neck in the state of Ohio. And issue one would reduce sentences, and money would be put into, as opposed to getting people jail time for these crimes, they would get rehab or education or tools to make them a better part of society. I'm wondering why issue one hasn't been passed on the ballot for 50, 40, 30, 40 years ago. But
Because it's money.
Because it's money.
Follow the money trail.
Right.
You know, they have put more money into prisons, building them, and filling them than they have in education. Than they have in rehabilitating. There's no rehabilitation.
And there's
in
so
prison.
many dollars ahead that
They
you
come out
get
as
for
smarter
sending
criminals,
someone
dude.
to.
And, yeah, so say that again.
There's so many dollars ahead that
I mean, think about it. Addiction, if you just think about addiction for a second, addiction is a disease.
Yes.
So we're not locking people up for having cancer.
Nope.
We're not locking people
Diabetes.
up for having diabetes.
Yep. That's
But
a
we
disease.
are locking people up for having a gambling addiction or a drug addiction, which is a sickness.
It's a
Yes, it
disease.
is.
Why would you lock someone up for being sick?
But they have a loophole for that. They are saying that these drugs are causing people to commit crimes.
Then why are they legalizing it?
Yeah, you have a point there.
I think that there's been a
Which
lot.
is a whole nother issue.
That's a
but-
whole
Right,
other issue completely. We've got a lot of. It's a lot of this thing with issue one. There's a mass. It's been like you said. Some of these prisons are privatized. Some of them are for profit. And when you go into these prison systems, guys, it's just us. I mean, the people with the least amount of opportunity to pay are the ones that are being incarcerated.
What did I say earlier? Follow the money trail.
Yep.
The people who can afford a good lawyer and pay for that, get off.
Get off,
The
yeah.
ones who can't, they get the public defenders. And I'm not taking anything away from the public defenders. I'm sure they do a wonderful job with the massive caseloads that they have. But, the bottom line is if you got the money to buy your way out of prison, you can.
That's true.
And
That's OJ.
yeah, I mean, well, OJ was innocent.
Now, do you think this is do you think this is a status issue or is it a race issue? As far as money, I mean,
Well,
rich or poor.
yeah,
got the money.
you know what? That's an excellent question.
That
I
is.
think that I think that the race issue is the distraction. The real issue is that it's a class issue. So if you have wealth,
Right.
people who are wealthy want to keep their wealth. It's not they're not about dividing that wealth equally
No.
or filtering it down so that it can help
There's
others.
no trickle down.
So it's really a class problem. It's a rich
Haves.
versus poor.
Yeah.
The haves and the have-nots.
There's no doubt.
It's not just a black and white problem. Now, I think the people that are affected by it, you can look at race and say, well, who's being affected? But I
Okay.
think the bottom line,
The after effect.
and if you look at history, like if we go back to the '60s when we talk about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X,
Right.
and my feeling is what got them assassinated was the fact that they were coming together with their ideals.
They were about to, yeah.
They were starting to move away from the black-white issue and going more towards the rich-poor issue, and that's a threat. So
I
that's
felt
so
the
they had
same
to
way,
get rid of
especially
that.
about Malcolm
Right.
X. I said when he finally went to Mecca and
Yep.
seen
Right.
that blacks and whites can live, and everyone could live. No one wanted to see that him meshing with the,
Yep.
and it just
Right.
seems
Very
like
good
that.
Because he came back and formed the Ohio, what would now have it, the Organization of African American Unity.
Right.
As soon as he did that, it was like
It
pow,
was a
pow,
wrap.
pow, 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 it was a
Yep.
wrap. Another thing that I wanted to touch on too, guys, do you think that, how should I put it, just put it in simple terms, do you think that when we do get out and vote, do you think that we are, getting back to these issues here, do you think that we have the opportunity to affect change? And we know that the vote counts. We've been voting. All of us have been voting. Have we seen any kind of change? I mean, we get out and vote. We talk about voting, but has the change been real in our lives?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, yeah, it wasn't long ago where we couldn't vote at all.
Right.
So I mean, that alone was some change.
Right.
You know, I think what happens is we see some change, but then they put something else in place
Right.
to stop the progress of that change. You know, so I think that we've seen some small strides
Okay.
over the last 100 or so years, but they've been baby steps. So you know, we have to put something in place that not only it only stimulates change, but it also will sustain it. You know, so that it continues to change, it continues to get better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what happens is the other side will change a law or change a rule or
Or put a rider on the back of that
yeah,
wheel.
yeah,
to
right.
make-
You
yeah.
know,
So
put a stip in
some kind of thing in there
you know.
to get their thing on that sort of defraction a little bit. Getting back to this issue, Ohio, the issue one, like I said before, it would lessen some drug crime penalties, emphasize treatment, and send fewer people to prison. And when we really say fewer people, don't we mean really few our people?
Yeah, but I think
I'm just saying.
I think when you're talking drugs and those types of offenses, you're right. I think the minority population is probably mostly affected, but I think that it's more than just race. I think that goes across the board.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Like they have there are positive proposals. These are positive proposals for people who want criminal justice reform. Ohioans who don't believe enough change has come from Columbus in the midst of this opioid epidemic.
Right.
So that's what I think that to a certain degree, this thing might not even be on the ballot, guy, if all these people weren't dying because of this heroin thing. More Caucasian people are dying because of this, and maybe that's why it's on the ballot. I was talking about that at the office today. Do you think that's sort of true?
Yeah.
That maybe they might even have that on it, but since all these.
well, I think that definitely stimulates. I mean, let's keep it real. The drugs and the abuse has been going on for years. But when it starts affecting the suburbs,
It's a problem.
it becomes an
I mean,
epidemic.
The
You
real,
know,
what
so
the real drugstores are Rite Aid, CVS, and
Right.
Walgreens. That's where the real drugs are. But I think it's a good issue. I think it's a good issue. How are you guys? What do you guys rest on that? Where you going?
oh, I'm voting for it. I'm definitely voting
voting
for
for
it.
it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great issue. I think that.
Because that's one of the biggest problems here. I mean, especially look at cities like here, Detroit, St. Louis. I'm just talking about where you got a big, like a municipal area of just people that can't get jobs and everything because of some little criminal
Infraction.
offense,
Yeah.
infraction
Minor,
that keeps
Yeah.
you from
Living your life. An
Yeah.
F5 felony in the state of Ohio is a misdemeanor 1 in 41 states. I sort of rest my case here. You got a felony record on your thing. It follows you for the rest of your
Oh,
life.
yeah.
And for what? For what? I mean, let's keep it real. You look at a guy, just to prove my point, you guys have heard of Home Improvement. Remember Tim Allen from Home Improvement? He got caught in Detroit with 10 kilos of cocaine. Did a little bit of time, and now he's a comedian. So you can. Are
you serious?
Yes, you can Google it. Tim Allen, Home Improvement. Yes, Charles Dutton, who played Rock. Charles Dutton, who played Rock on the TV show, murdered a man, did 8 years in prison, and he's an actor now. So the point I'm making, you can look at Robert Downey Jr., who did went to jail 8 times, and now he's Iron Man. I could go on and on and on about people having a second chance. So these issues are really a wake up call for people and to get a second chance. And
Right.
in America, this is the land of second
That's a
chance.
really key issue. I'm glad issue one. That's something. That's a game changer.
Any
there.
other issues on the
Yeah, there's
on
other,
the ballot?
There are other issues, but that's really the one that really that people are sinking their teeth in. That's the hot debate. I mean, I just think that it's very important.
Is there a legalization issue on there this year?
For marijuana?
Yeah,
I think that's already been passed.
I think medical has.
Your
but not
medical, yeah.
recreational.
Yeah,
I know,
medical.
no. You remember last week's show where we talked about the country of Canada? Don't even get me started on that. The country of Canada legalized recreational marijuana.
The whole country.
The whole country. Yeah. Which is
And
bigger
they
than
paid
the
off their
United States of
deficit
America.
when they
You ain't
did.
gonna leave us alone about that one.
Hey, listen, I'm only saying that, hey, Canada's got free health care and recreational weed, and Niagara Falls. Come on, man. I mean, I'm just being funny, but at least they came together. You don't hear about the kind of crap that we deal with here on a daily basis in America, in Canada, or in other countries.
Right.
I mean, the crap that we deal with here and put up with is amazing to me, and I think it needs we need to do something. We need to do something. All right, well, we're going to leave those. Wherever you guys stand, like Mike said earlier, please get out and
Vote.
November 6th,
Vote.
get out and vote. We're going to delve a little bit deeper next week into Duran and Cordray, who are running for governor. But right now, we want to take it over to Duran. You see this brown stuff. Duran's our resident sports guy.
Oh, yeah.
Mike is our sports researcher, and he's came up with some great stuff last week about our top 5 NBA players of all time. Really stumped us.
He really did.
Again, 216-298-1554. A lot of you guys listen to the show, and particularly listen to the show during this time when we talk about sports. So, Mike, take it away.
Well, I was thinking about this earlier.
Okay.
And I want to do a segment on top 5.
Okay.
We're gonna
Top
call
five.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
call
write
this.
it down.
We're gonna call this
Go.
top 5.
Top
Ready.
5. So this
All right.
is-
So top 5.
Ready.
Let's
Top
let's
five.
talk just 2 categories today.
Okay.
Your top 5 all-time quarterbacks
Okay.
and your top 5 all-time wide receivers. So let's start with the quarterbacks. I think that's the easier of the 2. I'm going to say my top 5, and I have some stats to back it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Not in any particular order.
Duran is really looking at you because he knows his football. Duran's our sports guy.
Okay. Not in any particular
Duran,
order.
take it to him.
I'm waiting for you to slip up.
Not in
buddy.
any particular order.
Okay.
Warren Moon, Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana, and then I got to go with either Tom Brady or Otto Graham.
Okay.
You
Top
took
5
Warren
quarterback.
Moon over Tom Brady?
Well, okay, I'm glad you brought that up
Boy, is he.
because Warren Moon, who didn't play in the NFL coming out of college,
Right.
played 6 years in Canada.
Yes, he
In
did.
those 6 years, he threw for 21,228 yards. He won 5 Grey Cups.
How
Did
many?
you say
in-
21,000 yards on?
21,000.
That's like 6 miles.
In the NFL, he threw for 49,325 yards, which total is about 70,000 yards.
That's all he did was throw. He was back in a shotgun. He used that run and shoot, and he threw more interceptions. How
Wait,
many interceptions to touchdowns did he have?
Uh-oh.
So let me ask, he threw 291 touchdowns.
And how many interceptions?
And that's just in the NFL.
Okay.
Interceptions, 233.
Ooh, almost even there.
Uh-oh.
No.
Well, he threw
Well,
more.
can you do me one more favor? Can you
Sure.
just say the 5
Let
quarterbacks
me
again?
give you Marino stats in comparison.
Okay, Marino, I could kind of live with.
61,361 yards, 420 TDs, 252 INTs. Both of them, Moon had an 80.9 QBR and Marino 86.4.
Marino is good. I kind of take that one.
All right, so give us your top 5 again.
I had Warren Moon, Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Montana, and then tied would be Tom Brady and Otto Graham.
Okay.
Wow, out of
Duran.
Graham.
Yeah, because see, I
gotta go Otto Graham
don't
too,
base
though.
mine on
Super
titles because it's a
Titles,
team
okay.
sport, and I don't think you
And plus
can
the Super
judge
Bowl
one
just started
player.
from 65
Right, because if you surround yourself with a great team, you can win titles galore.
Yeah.
Ask Golden State.
That's the
Well,
point.
yeah,
That boy had 51 yesterday.
11 threes.
Man, Golden State's my second favorite team.
So that's my top 5 for quarterbacks. What y'all got?
Okay, what's your? Go ahead.
You want me to go?
next?
Yeah, you go ahead,
I
Don.
know.
'Cause I gotta.
I have to go with
There's
I
so
go
many
with Otto
great
Graham just because of he played 10 years in the NFL and he won 10 championships. There's so much so that they changed the name. It used to be the NFL championship, and that for years and from 48 to 58, whatever it is, he won 10 straight Super Bowls. Basically,
Yeah.
and then so Cleveland revolutionized the NFL because Paul Brown put the passing game in the NFL, and so I got to go Otto Graham just because nobody's won 10 championships or Super Bowls as we call them since '64. So I go with Otto Graham on that. His completion rating was off the charts, and he also rushed like a madman. He was a great runner as well. So I like Otto Graham. I'm going to have to go. Here's my thing. I think of it in terms of, I like Warren Moon, but I also like the fact that I got to put, just for me, I like a quarterback that looks at the line, and he's really coaching against that offensive coordinator. That defensive coordinator. So you got to be cerebral. That's why the quarterbacks get beat up in their first 3 or 4 years.
I know where you're going with
so
this.
So Peyton Manning was very cerebral.
Yes.
He used to bat, for lack of a better phrase, he used to punk these defensive coordinators, defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
So Peyton was good in that regard. He would change. He would pull them out. He could read defenses. So I like that cerebral aspect. And I'm going to say something to you guys that
Then you got to put Bernie on that list because Bernie would.
I was going to say Peyton Manning is a Bernie Kosar on steroids.
I have to go. I got to go with Montana too, but I also have to go. So I got Otto Graham, like I mentioned, but I also have to go. Otto Graham, Peyton Manning. I know this is before most people's time, but this boy here, he ran for his life. And it was Fran Tarkenton. I like Fran Tarkenton. Man, Fran Tarkenton, dude. Hey, I'm just saying, man.
Great quarterback.
He was 5'8", dude, and he's
top 20.
He ran, but entertaining.
Not even that, believe me.
But entertaining. He was just entertaining to me.
I remember.
Very entertaining.
He played for the Vikings.
So give us your 5.
So I go Otto Graham, Peyton Manning. I can pull Fran Tarkenton in and out. I have to go. And I know it wasn't a great body of work, but I got to give Doug Williams some love. He was the first black man to win the Super Bowl, MVP. I got to give Doug Williams some love. I'm just saying, that's one of my favorites, okay? I got to put Warren Moon in there.
You a homer, Don.
I'm a homer, but I'm also a brother who likes to see brothers. For a long time, they said brothers could not quarterback in the NFL because we were too dumb. And so when Doug Williams did that, so then you got Doug Williams, and of course I go with Marino, so I'll give you that. I don't put Tom Brady in there. I don't put... Aaron Rodgers. I would even go with Brett Favre over Tom Brady. I just like the way they play, the grit, the heart. So those are my 5.
Okay.
My 5 is Otto Graham, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre. One that you guys ain't gonna stand, but John Elway.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Big John.
That
man can really
knock it off.
Okay, so I got it. And I'm going to go with Green Bay's quarterback right now. Rodgers.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers.
I got to make a change. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Brady falls off, and I got to go with the one you just mentioned. Not Elway.
Come on, Mike. I thought you was getting on the way.
I gotta put Peyton on there.
You got to put Peyton on. I watched him dissect defenses forever.
Yeah, so.
That's a great top 5, man. I like that. I like to.
Okay, so obviously we talked.
Otto Graham, I couldn't see him enough to really tell you.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
I have so many.
And how I couldn't compare him with the defenses that he was going up against them, but I could compare these other ones. That's the only reason why
I just go.
And Elway was a dual threat, man. If he got in trouble, man, he had that rifle that he could throw downfield, and he could outrun you. He ran a 4.5 40.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Big strong kid.
I just say whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
He hurt us. Okay,
whatever.
I got feeling some type of way.
You're in Cleveland. You can't give Elway any love.
No,
sorry.
I didn't want to because I'm
But
a
you're a
homer,
football
but
fan.
I'm
You're-
sorry.
you're-
He
he's
did
not-
things.
he's not
I
that.
just
Well, he was Mr. Ed. Come on.
okay. He had a beautiful smile.
He had 4 legs.
This guy had a beautiful smile.
Right.
You had to take a picture.
So
of
top
this guy.
wideouts.
Top wide receiver.
Top wide receivers. Now,
Wide out.
I had to think about this one, but
I got it.
my top 2.
Okay.
My top 3 are really pretty easy for me. Jerry Rice.
Okay. I got
The
that.
best.
I give Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice. Okay.
Okay.
I'm from Cleveland, y'all.
Paul Warfield.
Paul Warfield.
I got to go Paul in. I'll give you that on Paul.
I got mad when he left and went to Miami.
Randy Moss. He got
Randy
traded.
Moss.
He didn't leave. He got
Okay.
traded.
Yeah.
Randy Moss. And then I got to go way back to Bambi.
Bambi,
Lance
Allworth.
Allworth.
Lance
That was one. He
Allworth,
was
San
on my
Diego
list, too.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then my 5th one is a tough one, but I think I'm going to go T.O.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so
Not bad. It's better than
Not
your
bad?
quarterback selection.
say that again, Duran. We didn't hear that.
Better than your quarterback
Okay,
selection,
okay.
sir. I'm sorry,
All right, Duran, you take the helm on this. What are your
Okay.
5 wide receivers?
My 5 wide receivers are, and in this order, Jerry Rice,
Okay.
Randy Moss, Bambi.
Okay.
I gotta go with. You probably don't remember him, but Gary Collins. He's
Okay.
one of my
Right, for the
homers.
Browns.
Yeah.
For the Browns. Great, that's right.
He's
That's
one
right.
of my homers there. And I'm gonna go with Fred Biletnikoff.
Fred Biletnikoff.
Sticky hands
Oakland
himself.
Raiders.
Sticky
Wow,
hands.
you
He didn't
reached-
miss nothing.
You reached
Well,
in
he
the bag
couldn't
there,
miss.
man. You reached in the bag.
He
there.
couldn't
No,
miss.
that was before the sticker.
No, he had stickle.
No, he didn't know what that was. back
What?
then.
He kept it on.
You reached in the. You reached.
How do you think Lester found out about it? You mean that makes
No,
the
but
ball
this guy
stick?
will hold on. Him and Steve Largent, I pick him over Largent because I don't know, he just, Biletnikoff, if you throw the
on,
ball
man.
his way, he was going to catch it.
Tell him to take that stick him off. He wouldn't catch
Here's
it
my
cold
top
in the
five.
winter.
My top five are not in any particular order. I loved Art Monk. He didn't drop nothing.
Monk.
Art Monk was a beast. Didn't
forgot
drop
about
nothing.
Art.
Played for.
See, you brought back a blast
played
from the
almost
past
2
there. I
decades.
forgot about him.
Art Monk
The
hardly missed any
Washington
games on
Redskins.
and off the field.
Yeah.
Art Monk was a beast. That's one of my favorites. Also, Jerry Rice. I got to go with my alpha brother, Tim
Jerry.
Brown. Tim Brown was a great
Tim
receiver
Brown?
coming out of Notre Dame. He's in the Hall of Fame to this day. Tim Brown didn't drop anything, and he was a 4.2, 4.3. Of course, I got to go with Paul Warfield. And
Okay.
my
Can't argue
last
with
one,
that.
my last one. I know he wasn't a receiver. I know he wasn't a wide out.
Don't go with Ozzie Newsome, please.
Man, I can't.
He wasn't a wide
Don't
receiver.
go with that. He
Take
wasn't
him
a
off.
receiver.
Okay.
He can't. See, that's for another day. We got to do the top five tight ends.
All right. So then I got to go with my man.
Yeah, you
from
got to
back
go
in-
with one more.
I got to go with my man from back in the day. I know you guys are some of the millennials that might listen to our show. I had my first electric football game. I had the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys, and I love Drew Pearson. So I got to go with Drew Pearson. He caught more bombs. He caught more bombs
hands,
per
too.
game than any in NFL history. The boy caught like 7 bombs a year over 50 yards. So those are my 5.
Well, I think that guy in Pittsburgh might have something to say about them bombs.
Who? Swan?
Both of them,
And
Swan and Stallworth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I put them
And
like a
I
right under the
really
ones
and I
that-
really don't like Swan,
Yeah, but he was great.
but he caught them bombs and those acrobatic catches.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, everybody that we named is great. That's a great
Yeah.
top 5. You guys got to stay tuned until we've got issues for more of our top 5.
Oh, man, that was
make this a
fun,
regular
man.
segment.
Yes.
You know, it's funny that you guys mentioned that. We got to do defenses too at some
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Got to do that. But
That's going to be tough, too, because of
so
so
let
many.
me ask you this: you guys have your own team. We all just named quarterbacks. So who's out of our top 5 in quarterbacks and receivers? I'll start with you, Mike. Who would you choose as your quarterback, and who are your 2 receivers based off
Off my list?
Yes.
2 receivers.
You got your 2 receivers and the quarterback. So off your
yeah,
top 5.
that's-
So who would you choose?
I'm going Rice and Warfield.
Okay.
And quarterbacks, man, that's a tough one. Otto Graham.
Okay. I'm going Peyton Manning, Tim Brown, and Jerry Rice. Those are,
I may go
Tim
instead of
Brown? You
Otto.
keep with us, Tim
man,
Brown,
Tim Brown.
man.
Have you looked at the stats?
But he
Instead
got-
of Otto, I might do Peyton too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Peyton, too.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning.
To watch him dissect defenses was a marvel.
And he was his own coach on the field.
Exactly. LeBron does the same thing in basketball right now. He
Yes.
does the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cerebral part of the game. What about you?
Peyton Manning, Jerry Rice, and Randy Moss.
Okay.
Too dangerous, man.
So you got the deep threat and
dangerous,
you got the
dude.
inside threat, the slot threat.
Dangerous.
Okay. I like that. So let's talk a little bit about. Wait, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna say let's talk a little bit about last week with the Browns. Duran, you got everything here. You got
Oh,
the
yeah.
Browns.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So tell me what's your take on the Browns from last week, and what do you think? What do you think about this?
Okay,
week?
you guys are
We only
gonna
got 3 minutes.
you guys are gonna say sour grapes, but every week I watch the game, except for the Chargers game, there is an official call that defines the game.
Okay. So bad.
And
I'm
I
talking
think,
about the refs.
yeah, I think the refs in bad situations we get these calls that just derail us.
They either miss a call,
Yeah,
or they make a
for
bad
a young
call.
team that's demoralizing. I don't care. They say, "Oh, you could have."
And you excluded San Diego, but San Diego scored a touchdown
Well,
That's
yeah,
right.
on a missed call. 'Cause
but I don't think we could have won that
The
game.
tackle was offside.
But
I
the
remember that.
tackle,
I
the
remember.
tackle, it was a false start.
Yeah.
And they didn't even call it.
Right.
And they scored a touchdown on that play.
Yeah, it could have changed
and
the
they
whole.
showed him backing up.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, that for a young team that's demoralizing, here or there, a mistake or a little luck here or there, we could be 5-1.
Listen,
And
last week they said they turned on their microphone and said
Oh, they fired the one runner.
that Baker Mayfield was a runner and therefore it was
okay for them to
to have helmet to helmet contact.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's
But they
crazy.
fired him
Okay.
today.
Oh, they fired
I
that
read
ref
about
today.
it. Yeah,
Well, they
fired
needed
him.
All right, so
fire
we
Hockley.
have a minute left in the show before we get out. Let's get our take. First of all, the Cavs are 0-and winless.
4-4, yeah.
30 seconds on the Cavs. What's going
Yeah,
on?
I think the Cavs right now, they've been playing so long with LeBron, the veterans,
Okay.
as the main guy. They got to learn who's going to be the main guy. They got to learn how to win without that great player.
Your take?
And they just don't know yet.
Gotcha.
They're
Okay.
babies.
Tough for them to win 20
So they're
games.
0-4. Okay. Browns prediction this week against Pittsburgh.
Browns.
You know what? I'm going to go
Browns
I'm
in
gonna go
Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
We're
just
bringing the
because
fries to
It's
go
going to be a
against
close
Shea.
game, but
We'll see. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I hope the Browns can rebound.
Yeah,
Mike,
I
take
do
us out. Thanks for listening to the show today, guys.
Father God, we just thank you for a day that we've never seen before and a day we'll never see again. We ask you to continue to watch over us. Give us traveling grace and mercies as we go to our appointed destinations. And as always, we'll be ever so careful to lift your name in praise. We thank you and we give you all that you've given us. Thank you.
All right. See you guys next week on
We've Got Issues.
And so do you.